What is up, beautiful people? It's your girl Cam, and I'm back with another video. Let's talk about all the books I read in April. So welcome back to my channel. My name is Cam. This is Piece of the Plans, and I am so glad that you are here. If this is your first time visiting my channel, welcome. I do hope you find something here that inspires you. If you do, go ahead and click that subscribe button, and don't forget to click the notification bell as well, so you'll be notified every time I post new content right here for you. If you're an OG, you know what's getting ready to go down. We're going to talk about these good books that I read in April. So let's get right to it. This is my intro page where I write down all the books that I read this month. And I did read 8 books this month. So I read This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan. I read Someone We Know. I read Mame. I also read None of This Is True, Blood Sugar, Grown, The Sun Is Also a Star, and The Personal Librarian. So some pretty good books this month. This is my pages read section. And this is where I document almost the exact number of pages that I read every day. And here is where I document when I start and finish a book. And here are some of the first lines that I documented for this month. So the first line of The Sun Is Also a Star is Carl Sagan said that if you want to make an apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe. That was a very good first line. And then the first line of Grown is when I awake, I am eye level with a puddle of beet juice soaked into the carpet, soft fibers cushioning my cheek. Ooh, also very good first line. The first line of Blood Sugar is the waves weren't that big, but he was only 7. So even the smallest of Chop towered over his drenched head. Ooh, intriguing. That's the first line of Blood Sugar. The first line of This Could Be Us is, I'm sure I loved her once, and she loved me. And the first line of Mame is, in African culture, I don't want to be presumptuous or in any way nationalistic enough to assume that certain Ghanaian customs run true in other African countries. Also a very good first line. Okay, I'm going to go over my stats at the end. Let's talk about my quotes. I had some very intense quotes this month. Long and intense quotes this month. Because some of the books that I read were very emotional. They were emotion driven. So let's just get right into it. The first quote is, you are more authentic than anyone I know. You have lived the life that was meant for you. It's just that you had to do it as a white woman because of racism. Ooh, that is from the Personal Librarian. And we'll talk about that shortly. This next quote is from The Sun Is Also a Star. It says, to be Irie is to be in a high and content spiritual place. In the word, you hear the invention of religion itself. Everything is all right between you and your God, and therefore between you and the world. I love that quote. You should hear a lot of people from Jamaica and then just people in general saying everything Irie. I never thought about that being the meaning of it. Everything is good. Everything is right between you and your God, and therefore everything is right between you and the world. I love that. This quote is from Blood Sugar, and it says, my way was not right, and his way was not wrong. We were merely different, which is what makes marriage so beautiful. Loving another person, not for the sameness, but for the oppositeness. I love that. And here is a quote from This Could Be Us. And it says, "There aren't enough sonnets for friendship, not enough songs for the kind of love not born of blood or body, but of time and care. They are the ones we choose to laugh and cry and live with. When lovers come and go, friends are the ones who remain. We are each other's constants." Ooh, that's a good quote. So, so, so good. There aren't enough sonnets for friendship. I love that. Okay, and here is a long quote from The Sun Is Also a Star. "I wait for her to say something flip, but she doesn't. The universe stops to wait for us. She opens her palm, and she's going to take my hand. She's supposed to take my hand. We're meant to walk through this life together. I see it in her eyes. We were meant to be. I'm certain of this in a way I'm not certain about anything else. But she doesn't take my hand. She walks on." Ooh, I love that quote. But my favorite quote of the month comes from the book called Grown. And it says, "In my past life, I was a mermaid. I lived deep in the ocean, swimming free, eating crustaceans, and singing 5-octave ballads. My notes caused ripples in the sea whales, turtles, and seahorses alike gathered for my daily concerts. But on land, I struggled to breathe. Humans don't understand my pescatarian diet, and singing is a concept, not an aspiration." I love all of these quotes so much. They were good, good, good quotes this month. The writers that I read this month, the writing was more poetic in nature, and it was like I said, the books were emotional. They pulled on the heartstrings. Almost all of these books pulled at your heartstrings. So let's talk about the books I read. So the very first book I read of the month was This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan. And this was a buddy read with me, my friend Susan, Larissa, and Anika. And I had mixed feelings about this book. I gave it 4 stars, but I had mixed feelings about this book. I loved so much about it. But this is categorized as a romance, and I did not enjoy the romance between the 2 main characters. I'm sorry, unpopular opinion. I'm sorry. I just didn't. I didn't. Let me tell you what I did love, though. I loved the friendship between Yasmin, Soledad, and Hendrix. That is for all times going to be my favorite trio of friends in a book. These women are like, they hold each other up. They lift each other up. They ride for each other. They support each other. They encourage each other's dreams and visions, and not only in words, but in actions. Hendrix actually put her money where her mouth was to help Soledad create her business after her divorce. Like, they help each other with their children. They buy groceries for each other when they don't have any money, help pay each other's bills. I mean, these are friends for real. This is the kind of friend that sticks closer than a brother or a sister. Like, these are true friends. And I love their friendship so much. Like, down in my soul, I love their friendship. I love the fact that Soledad took her skills as a homemaker and turned it into a business after her divorce, or after her husband did what he did. I don't know how much of the story is on Goodreads or is on the back of the, well, let me look at the back of the book. I have the book sitting right here. So let me see how much I'm able to tell you. Okay, so it says Soledad Barnes has her life all planned out because, of course, she does. She plans everything. She fixes everything. She's never met a party she couldn't host or a charge she couldn't lead. But none of her varied talents help when the life she built with the man who was supposed to be her forever goes poof in a cloud of betrayal and disillusion. There's no time to grieve. She's too busy keeping a roof over her daughter's heads and food on the table. And in the process of saving them all, Soledad discovers herself. From the ashes of a life burned to the ground, something bold and new can rise. But when Judah Cross, brilliant single dad, an absolute last man she should want but can't seem to resist, enters the picture, can she trust him? Can she trust herself? After all she's lost and found, is she brave enough to take a risk for what could be? So there's not much on there about what happens in the story. So I don't want to give away too much. But Soledad, her marriage breaks up because of some things that her husband did. And I just love the way she rebuilt her life and the care that she took with her daughter's hearts. Like that just melted my heart to see her being so lovingly strategic with how she handled what was going on with her marriage, with her daughters. I have such high regard for her for that. What else did I love? I loved all the food that was included in this novel. And their recipes in the back here, everything frittata and picadillo and ooey gooey brownies and peach cobbler and strawberry lemon prosecco sangria and Aunt Evelyn's pear preserves. Love, love, love. What I did not love was the romance because of the role that Judah plays in what happens to her husband. I don't want to go into too many details about it, but I did not like the two of them being together because of who Judah Cross was to what ended up happening to her husband. And one of her daughters feels the same way. And I'm with Inez, okay? I stand with Inez on this. I found it very hard to root for them as a couple because of who he was in the story. Everything else about the book, I absolutely adored. I love Kennedy Ryan's writing. I love the way she builds these beautiful, strong characters that you can root for, characters that you want to see them win. And let me say this about Judah. I like Judah as a person. Like, Judah is a great father. Judah is like father of the year. Okay. I just did not like him with Soledad. I just didn't. I think Judah is a great person on his own. Soledad is a great person on her own. I just did not like them together. Okay. Not because there wasn't chemistry. There was definitely chemistry. It was just who he is in the story that I didn't appreciate. And then there was something that he did at the very end, I think like in the epilogue. And I was like, what? How dare you? How dare you do that? Ooh, I wish I could tell you, but I can't. I do highly recommend this book, y'all. I'm not saying I don't recommend it. Because the friendship is epic. What Soledad is able to do with her life and her children is epic. It is epic how she's able to, like this book says, bring it up from the ground, from the ashes of a life burned to the ground, something bold and new can arise. Yes, she does all of that. She does all of that. And I love that part of it. Just didn't feel the romance. Okay. Gave it 4 stars. So that's what I'm talking about on this page. My thoughts on the book, my thoughts about having a buddy read. And we did have a FaceTime discussion, and we went over the questions that were in the back of the book. Here, after the epilogue, there are some reading group discussion questions. So we went through these as much as we could. The other thing I wanted to document was the book signing I went to with my planner bestie, Larissa. She got 2 tickets for us to go see Kennedy Ryan at the Barnes & Noble Arboretum here in Charlotte on the day that the book dropped. Okay, and we had a good time. And Kennedy Ryan is so sweet. I've talked about this before, about a month or so ago, but I just wanted to document some of the pictures from that book signing side by side with my actual review of the book. So that's what we have here on this page. A few photos, my thoughts about the book signing right next to my review. Okay, on the next page, I have reviews for 4 other books that I read. And I want to point out something while I'm here. I love the fact that my book reviews are very organic. The structure of the book reviews is very organic. Each month is going to be very different. It's going to be based on what I want to talk about, what books I want to document my thoughts about. It's very much an organic process. I want to show you the book reviews from last month and kind of compare it to how they look this month. So these were my reviews from last month. I reviewed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books on these 2 pages. This month, I'm only reviewing 4. I'm pointing this out because this is the beauty of having a journal that you design yourself. You control how these pages look. Sure, in any book, you can always tape some pages in. You can, glue some pages in and make the pages work for you. But when you have a journal that is a blank canvas, like the one I'm using, you can truly structure it the way you want it to look. And I love the contrast between last month and this month. I dedicated a full page to a book review last month, and then I dedicated 1 page to a book review this month, and then a book signing. So it's just such an open canvas, a blank canvas for me to create on every single month. Just wanted to point that out, the beauty of using a journal, a blank dot grid journal. I highly recommend that you try it. If you've never tried it, it is a little bit more work than a structured book, but I love being able to structure the pages the way that suits me each month and just being as creative as I want to be. Okay, I'm done with my little soapbox speech. Let's get into the books that I read. So the first book is Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. And this book, it was tough to read because it's another book about a teenager being groomed by an adult. If you remember last month, I read My Dark Vanessa. That was about a teenager being groomed by a private school instructor, and that was really rough to read. This story is similar in the fact that we have another teenager being groomed by an adult. This time, the teenager is trying to break into the music industry. And she's willing to do almost anything to get into the music and entertainment industry. And she goes to an audition and she meets this very famous singer named Corey, who immediately sees her talent, but probably also sees her insecurities and maybe some shyness there. And he picks up on these character traits, and he starts lavishing her with all this attention and admiration and really starting to groom her. I will say this novel reminded me so much of R. Kelly and his situation. And in the back of the book, the author is very clear that she's not writing about R. Kelly, probably for legal reasons. But this story is very, very similar to R. Kelly and his story. Very, very similar. Except in this story, somebody dies. And this book is categorized as a thriller because you have to figure out who done it. I thought this book was very, very well written. I look at it as a cautionary tale for teenagers who are, who have a desire to be famous. This is a YA, and so it's written for young adults and teenagers. And I think it's excellent because it is a cautionary tale on the things that can happen to you when you are willing to do anything to get into the entertainment industry. Because as we have seen in the news lately, there are a lot of predators in entertainment. A lot of predators, allegedly, in entertainment. So, well written, highly recommended. The book is entertaining, it's real, it's raw, it's not too graphic. There's not a lot of graphic sex scenes in there. There's some talk about it, but it's not super graphic. Okay, so it is a very good book, and I do highly recommend it. I gave this one 5 stars on Goodreads, and that is Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson, a cautionary tale. I'm calling it a cautionary tale. Okay, my next book is The Sun is Also a Star. And this one is about a young Black teenage girl who is an Jamaican immigrant. And when the book opens, she is finding out that because of some things her father did, her family is about to be deported back to Jamaica. And she is trying to do everything that she can to keep this from happening. And in the process of her going throughout her day, a series of unusual but usual things happen. She ends up meeting this young Korean teenager named Daniel. And Natasha and Daniel are opposites, not just in their culture, but also in their outlook on life. Natasha is very much a scientific, fact-based type of thinker. Daniel is a poet and a dreamer, and they are attracted to each other. But so much is going on in Natasha's life that she doesn't really have time to invest in getting to know this guy. But he really wants to get to know her. And that's all I'm really going to tell you about the story. Because it is such a beautiful, sweeping novel about a budding romance, but about so much more than that. This book talks about racism. It talks about mental health. It talks about immigrants and how they view themselves and their legacy in America. It talks about the science of relationships and love. It talks about the whole process of immigration. And it also talks about being determined to blaze your own trail as a human. despite where your parents come from, despite what your parents' expectations might be of you, blazing your own trail and seeking out your own path. And I absolutely loved this book. I gave it 5 stars. This is The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. And you can't tell me that this book is not somewhat related to this woman's real life story. She is a Jamaican immigrant. She is married to a Korean man. You cannot tell me that this story is not based at least a little bit on her own life. Very well written. I gave it 5 stars. That is The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. Highly recommend it. The next book is The Personal Librarian. And this is a story about Belle Marion Greener, who is a Black woman who was born and raised in Virginia. But she becomes Belle DeCosta Green, a white woman who becomes the personal librarian of J.P. Morgan. Yes, the J.P. Morgan. So, this book is very well written as well. It is about a Black woman who is super smart, talented, intelligent, well-read, speaks several different languages, educated, but would never be hired as a Black woman to work for J.P. Morgan during this time period under any circumstances. So because she has a very light complexion, her mother tells all of her children that they should try to live a life as a white person. So they move out of Virginia and they move to New York and they assume these new identities. It doesn't go unnoticed that they're not like white. Because they do have quote unquote olive skin. Okay. So their rationale for that is that they have a Portuguese grandmother. Okay. That's how they explain their skin complexion not being as white as some other people. And you're kind of on the edge of your seat throughout this novel, I was wondering if at some point she was going to get caught, because she's questioned about her skin tone several times throughout this book. And if you look at photographs of her, I could understand why. Because if I saw pictures of her, I would just think she was a light-skinned Black lady. Like, period. That's what I would think. But she's presenting herself as Belle DeCosta Green, a white woman who has a Portuguese grandmother. So she works for J.P. Morgan. She curates a library of very well-known books and art and artifacts for him over the course of many years. And she develops somewhat of a friendship with him. And I don't want to give away too much because it really is a well-written book about a person that I didn't know anything about. I don't think I've ever heard of this person before until I saw this book on the shelf at Walmart. And have y'all been to the Walmart book section lately? Walmart is doing their thing, okay, with books. Walmart is doing their thing with books. There is one Walmart near me, and this video is not sponsored by them, but there's one Walmart near me that has all the current popular books. There's another one a little bit further away from me that doesn't have as wide of a selection. But if there's a really nice Walmart near you and you like books and you like a good deal on books, check out Walmart. I'm trying to tell you. They have a wide selection of books. They have a lot of the YAs, they have the fantasies, oh, tons and tons of romance. They have a great African American section. They have a great thriller section. They have a great religious section. I mean, Walmart is keeping up with the reading trend. They really are. So that's where I got this book from. I don't have it right at my fingertips right now, but I did read the physical copy of this book and listen to it on audio. I love a good audiobook to go along with my physical book or my ebook. Love it. Okay, and finally, I have to have a good thriller every month. So this month, the thriller that I wanted to talk about is Blood Sugar by Sasha Rothschild. I got this recommendation from another YouTube content creator who loved this book. And the more she talked about it, the more I just wanted to read it and see what it was about. And it was so good. I did give it 4 stars, but it was very, very good. Like the tagline to this book is, she's accused of 4 murders. She's only guilty of 3. Like, what? Oh my gosh. Okay, so I don't even want to tell you too much about this book because I feel like there's some books that the less you know going in, the more entertaining and the better experience you're going to have with the book. So the one thing that I will tell you is that, what is her name? Ruby. Ruby is accused of killing her husband. Okay. And we're trying to figure out, is this one of the 3 murders that she committed or not? Did she do it or didn't she? Like, what's going on? And Ruby is just such a engaging, interesting, unusual character. And every character in this thriller, I found myself like just totally enthralled with each character. This author, Sasha Rothschild, she knows how to write a thriller. She knows how to keep you on the edge of your seat. She did these time jumps, and sometimes time jumps are annoying. Her time jumps were written so well that they kept you on the edge of your seat as she just gradually revealed more and more of Ruby's backstory and more of the present day story. It's just so well written. I don't think it's real gory, but it is a thriller and it is a little shocking sometimes, but it is well written. I highly recommend it. I was in between 4 and 5 stars, y'all. I landed on 4 stars, but I really did enjoy Blood Sugar by Sasha Rothschild. And that's going to do it for my book reviews for this month. Let's get to my stats. So in April, I read 8 books. I bought 1 book. Total pages read was 2,795. Total days read was 28. And my favorite book is The Sun is Also a Star. That is my favorite book for this month. It's such a good book, y'all. My least favorite book was None of This Is True. I gave that book, I think, 3 or 4 stars. I did not hate it. It just was not one of my top books this month. Did enjoy it. It just was not one of my favorites. So of all the books I read, it was my least favorite. Not a bad book, though. I do recommend that you read it. It's a good ride. It's a good, like, popcorn thriller to me. My average star rating this month was very high. It was 4.3. My favorite character was Daniel Jaewon Bae, who is the Korean teenager from The Sun is Also a Star. I love Daniel. I just love the fact that he's a poet and a dreamer. He believes in love. He believes in destiny. I just love him. My least favorite character was Corey Fields, who is the antagonist in Grown. Do not like that dude. I haven't chosen a favorite word for this month. I think it's going to be Irie, but I might need to do a little bit more research on my favorite word because I didn't come across any words that really wowed me this month. I may come back and add a word here later, but I didn't come across any words I wanted to document. So let's go ahead and put my favorite book on my favorite bookshelf. And I'm going to go ahead and write in my favorites on this page as well. Okay, and I read 8 books in April. All right, y'all. So that is going to do it for me for my book reviews for this month. I read some really great books. Let me know in the comments if you have read any of the books that I read this month. Also, let me know what you are currently reading. I'd love to hear book recommendations from you. So I hope you're having a great week. I hope you're reading some good books, and I hope that your week is full of love, joy, and most of all, peace. See you next time.